Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Karpo Gaming and another Borderlands 3 video. Alright, Gearbox has sent out another tweet today, and we have an official hotfix that should be coming sometime today. As you can see right here, we have a whole bunch to get into. We got nerfs, we got fixes, we even have some buffs too. So hey, let's hop right into it. Now today we have a new hotfix, and it should go live around 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time if you haven't got it already. Now this hotfix is going to target weapon and enemy balance, player characters, and is going to adjust specific changes to unique drops. Now billions of guns were fired, and after collecting some data, Gearbox wanted to see, and they wanted to balance some of the weapon types and weapon manufacturers. These adjustments are intended to even the playing field and increase build diversity for all Vault Hunters. Now, speaking of build diversity, ZANE has received a gadget upgrade, and we're excited to see how players create more unique builds with him. Many crew challenges enemies have specific loot drops, but we have received reports that some of them wasn't dropping them, so we've made some modifications so now they have an increased chance of dropping their unique gear in addition to any other gear they might drop. Now these are great changes, but it's a lot to get into. Let's start with weapon fixes. For snipers, sniper rifle deal high damage but feel a little cumbersome to use in certain scenarios. This change will increase the overall damage and increase usability and more combat engagement. We have increased critical damage by 20%, fire rate increased by 15%, time to aim down sight is reduced by 15%, and time to equip reduced by 20%. That's amazing. Next up under pistols, Jacobs and Torque pistols were outperforming other manufacturers, dealing damage to a group of enemies at a much higher rate than other pistols. This change keeps their identity intact but reduces overall group control. Theodore, Dahl, and Children of the Vault pistols have manufacturer penalties that affected their overall damage. Increasing their overall damage will overcome some of the penalties while retaining their unique gameplay style and feel. These are the changes. We have increased damage on all Theodore pistols by 15%, as well as increased damage on Dahl pistols by 15%. We have increased damage on Children of the Vault pistols by 20%, reduced damage on all Jacob pistols by 15%, and reduced damage on Torque pistols by 10%. So a little bit of buff, a little bit of a nerf. Now for the Maliwan manufacturer. Maliwan weapons have reduced overall damage because they applied elemental damage over time at a rate and damage greatly above other manufacturers. This effect was toned down before launch, but the overall damage was not sufficiently adjusted to compensate for the reduction in elemental damage over time. We're adding back some of the overall damage and making the weapon faster so elemental builds can really take advantage of Maliwan weaponry. All Maliwan weapon damage is increased by 25%, and all Maliwan weapon fire rate is increased by 20%. Now for the Atlas manufacturer. Atlas weapons relied on a game loop that we felt gave players and greater advantage when used correctly. Turns out that loops is not used if the damage doesn't compensate for the time or setup. So now damage on all Atlas weapons should facilitate players using them in general, on top of the feeling badass when they take advantage of Atlas technology. So all Atlas weapon damage is increased by 25%. Boom. Now we have some miscellaneous adjustment. The Jacobs assault rifle change was to differentiate the assault rifle from the pistols as more of a mid to long range powerhouse. Since the assault rifles have a low magazine size compared to other assault rifles, they're getting a slight increase to overall damage to compensate. Dahl SMGs had the fire rate adjustment down before launch, but their damage was never sufficient increase, so they should feel more appropriate compared to other SMGs. And the Voldov heavy weapon damage has been increased to share in the full heavy weapon treatment. So what are the changes? We have Jacobs assault rifle damage increased by 20%, Dahl SMG damage increased by 10%, Voldov weapon damage increased by 25%, and E-Tech Theodore shotgun damage increased by a whopping 50%. Now for the legendary modifications. We're going to be making a larger comprehensive legendary gear pass, but we have introduced the following changes. Kings and Queen Call were modified to lower the fire rate. The weapon has a limited burst shot count, so overall feel of the gun is dramatically affected. So, ouch. Kings and Queen Call fire rate reduced by a whopping 50%. That is chop. Fire rate, Firestorm and Storm-based charge times were reduced to 1 second, down from 2 seconds. That's That's just insane. Alright, we have Graves War. Graves War beam attack did not properly scale based on levels, so at higher levels, the two beam attacks hardly phase players. Players will find his attacks to be more lethal now. In addition, Grave Ward is a very large enemy and is too easily susceptible to elemental damage, unlike the other larger bosses. So, elemental damage on Grave Ward is now greatly reduced, but to compensate, Grave Ward overall health was reduced as well. So, what are the changes? Attacks on Grave Ward now scale based on level, reduce overall health by 20%, increase resistance to elemental damage, elemental change resistance increased by 70%, elemental resistance increased by 30%, and elemental damage over time duration taken is reduced by 30%. So overall, he will be a tougher boss, and yeah, we will see how the farming goes from Grave War from now on. So now under Miscellaneous Changes, we have Hollow Point Guardian rank has been temporarily disabled. We plan on addressing this further in a future patch. Vault Hunters should no longer scream when affected by damage over time when shields are active. Vending machines have now been restocked with higher quality items of the day, adjusted a visual concern on Mollywell shotguns with cryo element. Legendary loot drops have been balanced throughout the game. Crew challenges and enemies will now drop their intended specific loot, and some enemies like Troy and Rampager will be a bit more stingy and no longer drop legendaries every kill. Alright, now we have Vault Hunter adjustments. These are big. ZANE. ZANE gadgets were great at providing additional utility but lacked impact as players leveled up. We've increased the digiclone damage with all equipped weapons, so the skill can scale better as they get to higher levels and harder content. The drone requires a lot of player to take full advantage of its damage output, increase the base damage as well as the augments will greatly increase the drone's versatility and reward players even more for using it effectively. So what are the changes? Digiclone damage increased by 38%. That's a lot. Drone damage increased by a whopping 50%. Cairo village damage penalty has been removed. Drone rockets damage increased by a whopping 50%. And Almighty Ordnance rockets damage increased by a whopping 75%. So it is easy to say ZANE got a huge buff and he could just be the meta right now. Because under Amara, we have some changes. And that's Guardian Angel health restoration reduced. That's right, reduced from 100% to 50%. And glamour damage penalty reduced from minus 30% to minus 10%. And under Flak, that's right, we're getting another nerf. Gorillas in the Mist bonuses greatly outweighed its penalty at the base skill. We don't want to remove the playstyle completely, but the overall damage output had to be slightly adjusted because it was outperforming other builds. I don't know why they just don't buff the other builds, but we are here. And last but not least, they say we are monitoring the changes. They may make another change to the ammo return in the future pack. So he may be nerfed to the ground even more in the future. So we're going to have to see. But right now it's easy to say that the meta is about to change. To round it all up, Gorillas in the Mist duration has been reduced from 8 seconds to 6 seconds. So we have a 2-second nerf on the Gorillas in the Mist. And also Gorillas in the Mist critical damage bonus has been reduced from 50% to 25%. So we got a 25% reduction on the critical damage, and the duration is reduced by 2 seconds. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, these are the patch notes, the hotfix, patch notes, hotfix. We have a lot of changes that has happened today. We have a new metas coming in with ZANE. We have some nerfs. We have some buffs. Overall, it's a much needed change in the world of Borderlands 3. So yeah, that's pretty much going to end it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, I upload daily Borderlands 3 video, so don't forget to turn on bell notification and stay up to date for more Borderlands 3 videos. So as always, if you are new to the channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to help out the channel in the video, you can do so by liking the video if you indeed like the video. Once again, thank you everybody for all your love and continued support, and as always, I'll be seeing y'all in the next one. Later.